Let's go.
Oh, God.
I never claimed to be Italian.
I didn't either, and look what happened.
Just have been working on writing a character that technically is. And I guess technically speaking, he's half Italian, but we're not going to get into that. Or like 3/4. Anyway. Yep. Thanks for this, Summer Moon Soldier. Doing another one of these because I felt kind of bad that it wasn't, like, main crew doing the last one. So, last time, of course, we did Saved by Grace. And this is kind of, from what I know, the proto version of that.
Oh, lovely. This will be interesting.
This is, of course, Not Me, written by Ceara Ivory. And the description we have is inspired by the song Not Me, sung by Heather Headley, Adam Pascal, and Sherry Rain Scott. A love story of epic proportions unfolds. Love is proved.
I think it's Renee, but I'm not sure.
Sherry Renee Scott. That makes more sense. What the fuck did I say? Did I say Reen?
Yes, or Rain or something like that. I don't know.
Whoops. Love is proved to indeed be the greatest power when Voldemort meets a young Muggle woman while in the guise of a young man-eye. A young man, you what? What are you not telling me, Ceara? What?
This is it a young man in the or like I don't know.
Living in a lonely world.
Took the midnight train going anywhere.
Going anywhere. Do 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 do. Fucking 3 chords of pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
Much like the last one, this has the statement of written by Chibi-Con, which I guess that was what Ceara Ivory called themselves before they called themselves Chibi-Con. I'm not going to assume anyone's gender here. I do not know Ceara.
You mean before they called themselves Ceara Ivory? You said
yes.
Chibi-Con.
Did I say before they called themselves Chibi-Con?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I was Chibi-Con before I was Chibi-Con.
That's a new level of hipster right there.
I feel like someone's roto-rolloed my brain.
Yeah.
Summary. Inspired by this song, Not Me, sung by Heather Headley, Adam Pascal, and Sherry Renee Scott, a love story of epic proportions unfolds. And Not Me, love is proved to indeed be the greatest power when Voldemort meets a young Muggle woman while in the guise of a young man in a small market in the small... Oh my gods.
Lovely.
In the small market of the small little Hangleton. Can he win the love of this young girl? Will his heart be changed by the endeavor, or is his failure written in the stars?
I hope it's written in the stars, because it'd be funnier. Author's warning. Oh, it's not a note. It's a warning.
Last time we had to deal with that, it was because of sexual assault.
Major AU. There will be a lot that does not agree with canon. There will be much OOC-ness. Imagine a lovesick Voldemort, if you will. Mm-hmm. If this does not sit well with any of you, please hit the back button near the left-hand corner of your browser. Any flames concerning the AU nature or the OCC-ness of this fic will be ignored. For you have been warned.
What is OCC-ness? I know what OOC is, but OCC?
Outclassing characters? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, I'm afraid I might flame this. I'm going to hit the back button. Oh god, it was the first page I opened. I can't escape.
But much like with last time, The issue is not whether or not it goes against canon. That's really not. It's kind of a non-issue when it comes to fanfiction.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is whether or not you're actually providing the proper context and characterization for the story you're trying to write to work. Again, like stated before, alternate universe stories in which you basically just take the names and base characteristics of pre-established characters and just use them to tell your own stories is not a bad thing. In fact, it is something that kind of gives way to a lot of different creative outlets. After all, don't even get me started on the number of Twilight fan fictions that are honestly kind of better written than the actual books. The issue comes when you aren't really doing a good job of writing, fleshing out the characters that you're using. If you can't make the change in character work properly for you, that's where things go wrong. Which that's also just general writing advice. You want to make sure that your characters are well written if you are doing something that's supposed to focus on the characters.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing something that focuses on the characters, like Junji Ito, any of Junji Ito's work, then that is less of a concern, but you do at least want to actually have characterization present.
And then I'm just looking at the title that says "Not Me," and I'm just thinking, "Woohoo, not me!" That's where my mind is right now. You're going into this deep field that's got some decent advice and stuff like that, and I'm just like, whoop.
I mean, honestly, with this whole channel, like, part of my whole thing is, yes, I do love just sharing, like, for lack of a better term, garbage media with people. I have a legitimate love of, like, things that are just fascinatingly bad because, well, one, they do provide an excellent learning experience, like, an excellent learning tool. But, like, the other thing is, part of the point of this channel, at least to me, is to also try to give people, like, some forms of insight on, like, this sort of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not criticizing the stories written to be mean. Sometimes we are kind of mean, and I do apologize for any times that does happen, but at the end of the day, yeah, I am kind of a spicy person like that. But at the end of the day, the reason why I feel it is important to actually, like, rip into things is so that you can find what does and doesn't work. You find the things that do work and you build upon those. Anyway,
that's just kind of an insight of different things. So, yeah. This has been that concludes our TED Talk.
but when will Ted himself give the talk? Original character introduction: Lucinda Duthridge, a young adult female I say all that shit that I can't fucking speak. Caring for her sickly mother in the small town of Little Hangleton.
Little Hangleton, okay.
Is this a real place?
That's a good question. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Known through the town for her beautiful voice, and captures the heart of even the Dark Lord with said voice. Appearance: long golden blonde hair, light glimmering blue eyes, likes to wear peasant frocks.
Okay.
There is a lot that just fucking punched me in the dick with that character description. Oh. Why the blonde hair, blue eyes? Kind of overdone. Much like Briar Rose from Disney's Sleeping Beauty.
Maybe that's where they were taking their inspiration from. So it's like, oh, this character is pretty. I think I'm going to use that. Also, Little Hangleton is in the Harry Potter universe. It is where the Riddles used to live. So.
Got ya. Okay, Briar Rose. by itself did not give me a thing. Wait a minute, is that... I thought her name was Aurora.
It might be. I don't remember. It's the main
What?
character, and it's the main character in Sleeping Beauty.
Well, like, according to Disney itself, her title is, like, Princess Aurora. What? Mm-hmm. What? Also, her eyes aren't blue, they're black. Oh, never mind, they're blue.
And now, on with the show.
Or gray, I guess. I don't know. Prologue. Little Hangleton wasn't a pleasant town. Not in the least. It was often visited by rains and storms, making the landscape very dreary indeed. Many of the people were cold, probably from only getting a glimpse or two of sunshine a year. Leave me alone, Tinder!
Okay. Strong start, not terrible prose.
It's not a bad description.
Mm-hmm. One inhabitant.
Granted, we've already had dodgy. We've already had kind of dodgy grammar before now.
Mm-hmm. But it seems to have been cleaned up a little bit, at least in the story part, which is fine. This is not unpleasant to read, but let's see here. Not yet. One inhabitant was particularly cold. In fact, one could quickly, easily, and accurately draw the conclusion that he was evil, maybe even demon-possessed. There it is.
Wait, what? I believe that's called profiling, and it's wrong. But also what?
This man resided in the largest home in the town. It was one of those big, creepy houses that one only sees in a horror movie. In fact, one could probably expect Freddy or Jason to answer this door. I think they repeated to answer twice. I do that sometimes, but I usually catch it before I keep it written down. The man himself was just as fearsome, with a ash-white snake-like face and wicked red eyes. Cloaked in a massive set of black robes, this man sat in a comfortable-looking forest-colored armchair. Okay, now it's getting bad.
That fucking nosedived quick.
Yep. It's like, hey, okay, not a bad start. Okay, it's now at 11.
Outside of like an eldritch horror type story, just using evil as an appearance descriptor doesn't tend to work. I'm gonna say that right now.
What do you mean? Whenever I describe you as evil, and everyone knows who I'm talking about when they're like, "Hey, is that the guy you were talking about?" I'm
evil in personality. I'm not evil looking. There's a difference. I'm tired looking. I might have a bad case of resting bitch face, but I don't look evil. I look mildly annoyed. There's a difference. I know they might seem similar sometimes, but there is a difference.
Alright, whatever helped you sleep at night, bud.
Aye. Voldemort at the moment had a blistering headache.
Cool.
Never heard blistering used for headaches before, but okay.
Splitting headache, on the other hand.
Yeah. He had just returned from the Department of Mysteries, feeling weaker than an overcooked noodle. Tone, author.
It's a rom-com, Llytic.
You were setting up this tone earlier, and then all of a sudden a noodle analogy. What? Tonight had not gone well. Yes, the animagus Sirius Black was dead. He could consider that a partial victory. But it wasn't enough. He had come for a prophecy and to kill Harry Potter, and had succeeded at neither. What was he doing wrong? What was he missing? What wasn't he getting?
He wasn't getting that Harry has a lot of plot armor, so he wasn't able to pierce that. But just the people around him.
This is what happens when people suggest for us to read just Harry Potter fan fictions, is we just apparently rip into Harry Potter itself.
Harry survives a lot of things that he shouldn't.
Last week I compared Voldemort to J.K. Rowling.
Okay.
Which, in light of recent things, isn't too far off.
Just as he was starting to contemplate it, a sound reached his very sensitive ear. Yeah, only one ear. He doesn't have two.
Well, no, it was just on one side of him. You know, it's in stereo.
Stereo's two sides, though.
Yes. As in, well, okay, when something is in stereo, it tends to have it to where whichever speaker it comes through primarily is, you know, the one that it's supposed to be leaning towards. So whenever you have a game that has stereo sound, like, noises tend to come from the direction in which the source of them is actually coming from in your ears.
Okay, I see where we're getting at.
Yes.
What was that? He sat up straighter, straining to hear. Come here. That
took me a bit.
That
took me a second. I mean, fuck it. I'm fucking dyslexic. I fucking flip them.
It was coming from outside. He got to his feet and hurried to his balcony. He saw the faint sides of sunlight. He'd no idea how late or rather early it was. He heard the sound again, calling his attention to the east. He could hear it better now. It was singing. Oh, okay. The silvery voice of a young maiden.
Ew.
That makes me uncomfortable.
The word maiden in general tends to make me uncomfortable.
Except for an express few fantasy settings, yes. He had to find out who it was. Why, it had to be a muggle, naturally, but for a muggle to have such a voice, why, to him it was extraordinary. Shut the fuck up with your wizard superiority complex.
It's Voldemort. Do you expect him to? Also,
No.
I don't know, maybe she's, like, descended from a siren.
Yeah, it is a possibility. Grabbing
Are
his
there sirens in Harry Potter?
I think so. There are mythical creatures, so...
Well, there are, like, mermaids, and then there's, like, the shit that's just made up wholesale, like the blast-ended Scroots.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't believe people forget about those. Maybe it's just because they weren't in the movies for some fucking reason.
Well. Movies weren't near as good as the books.
I mean, they're horrific scorpion, like, two-tailed, double-ended, like, scorpion things that shoot fireballs.
That sounds pretty cool. I forgot about them, too.
Hagrid had the class breeding them, breeding and raising them in the Care of Magical Creatures class in the fourth book. So the whole thing...
Why couldn't he have kept that job? He did a really good job there, honestly.
Well, you see, he got arrested.
Good point.
But yeah, and so, like, the whole thing is that since it was also the Triwizard Tournament, basically, some of those were in the fucking hedge maze. So they got raised, and then just put in the fucking hedge maze.
Grabbing his long billowing cloak from the coat stand, he donned it and hurried out of the manor, down the walk and through the gate. Just the idea of Voldemort keeping his cloak on a coat stand is just funny to me.
I mean, got into it with, like, Ichitan last time. But behind the scenes, the actor who played Voldemort, like, he had to wear, like pantyhose under the cloak.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that happened is they got modified to where it was basically stockings and a garter belt. And so all I can ever imagine with Voldemort with this cloak off is him just fucking in stockings and a garter belt.
Just imagine him standing there and then, like, pulling his cloak up. You've seen that, and then dropping it, and then he goes, "Nobody will ever believe you."
Nobody will ever believe you, Potter. But, like, these are the blast-ended Scroots.
Load, come on. Okay, there it is. Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was mentioned by Hagrid. It was mentioned by Hagrid that apparently they were a crossbreed between, like, a manticore and something else.
Interesting.
Why did we not have that in the fourth movie?
Because CGI restrictions?
The sweet sound grew closer as he entered the village. No one seemed to be out. Of course, they were still probably asleep. But one was not. He knew it. Finally, he found the source. The town square at the water pump. In the town square at the water pump was a beautiful young woman. The town square was not the beautiful young woman. The colors of the morning sunrise gleamed off her golden hair. A shawl was wrapped around her shoulders to keep the cool morning air off
her. From under his cloak, the muggle-hating Dark Lord felt an awkward smile form on his face. God, okay.
You know, you start off with the from under his cloak, and my mind goes other places.
He was lost in her beauty. Staying in the shadow of a building, he watched as she finished her business of filling a pail with cold water and then left, disappearing into a door of a nearby cottage. What was this stirring feeling in his gut? His heart was pounding, and he had to release a breath he hadn't even known he'd been holding. His stomach felt weird, and he felt a giddiness burning inside him that he hadn't felt since he was a teenager. What was this feeling?
Author's note. Yes, I told you, mass OCC-ness and mass AU-ness. Consider me a strong advocate for the love in odd places stories. Tell me what you'd like to see in this. I do take requests within reason. I'd say mostly just fix the tonal issues. Also some grammar.
Like what you like, but
again, the issue is more, the issue with last time was more just the fact that there wasn't much to the characters. They were each, just one fucking dimensional and didn't really act like people. This one, it's just... It seems to be more of, fucking... I'm sorry, I just saw a thing ahead, and my mind is what the Okay, disclaimer, the only thing I own are maybe a few OCs, and you'll know them the minute you meet them.
Chapter 1. The red-eyed man returned to his study in his manor. His heart was still beating a rapid tattoo inside his chest. A small pudgy man with a silver hand hurried to his side, carrying a tray of food, not unlike a house elf.
¿Por qué? Beating a rapid tattoo inside his chest.
See, I've heard something like that before, but it just kind of felt awkward as it came.
What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to get a tattoo, someone gets a freaking mallet and a hammer and chisel stuff into your skin.
I'm Googling that to beat a tattoo. What does... To beat a tattoo, the sound of drums for evening roll call.
Oh, okay. Tattoo being used not as the ink on your skin, but as like a...
That is...
I've heard the term before.
Yeah, it's a drum roll.
Mm-hmm.
Entomology, let's see. Let's see. Eventually, they crept to the tip of Zoe's tiny slipper as it beat a nervous tattoo on the rug. He had bad dreams, for they seemed to hear dreams beating the eerie tattoo, which he remembered long ago in border raids. The fingers of the judge began to beat a gentle tattoo on the table. He heard far off to the right a steady tattoo like the rapid beat of many small drums. Joel swung the blade like a veteran, scattering his swath to cure in the sun, and with whetstone on wheel, beat a frequent tattoo. It'll say rapid doesn't seem to fit as well as a descriptor for it.
A rapid rhythmic rapping. A call sounded shortly before taps.
That would probably explain it. It is rapid. So describing it as rapid just sounds awkward.
It's double rapid.
Very rapid. Master, you have returned. Master, you have returned. He had been all too aware that his master had left the house for a brief time. We don't need to get into Peter Pettigrew's stalking habits. He hurriedly placed the tray on the table next to the fine chair. He got a glimpse of his master's face. He had never seen a twinkle in his master's eyes like he did today, nor had he seen his master smile a genuine smile that had nothing to do with the death of one of his foes or of a muggle or muggle-born. It was a little disturbing. I brought you your breakfast. No, I brought you your breakfast.
The distracted Red Eyes seemed to regain focus. Oh, Wormtail, thank you. Oh God, Voldemort's saying thank you.
Why is Red Eyes hyphenated? Okay, like little thing with this sort of thing. You use hyphens whenever you're using a descriptor for something that ends in ed. For instance, like an excellent example of this would be saber-toothed tiger. Toothed, ed. So you have the hyphen between saber and toothed. Long-haired. Haired, ed. Like you have, basically you turn the noun into a verb, because then you're using it as a descriptor for the actual thing, and that's when you turn the descriptor for the descriptor. That's when you hyphenate it, basically. I'm probably not stating this quite how I'm wanting to, but that's kind of my whole point, is that...
Well, you're getting your point across. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. You hyphenate it whenever there's an ed involved.
Like earlier when they said red-eyed man, as opposed
to...
Yeah,
red-eyed works. Mm-hmm. Swift-footed.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome, Master, he said back, automatically before doing a mental double-take. As you predicted, Master, the ones who were imprisoned, they have escaped.
Thank you, Wormtail. Yes, I knew they'd escape. Very good, very good. This pleases me.
The sentence did not quite quell the fear inside the pudgy man. It was a little more like the Dark Lord he knew, but the tone was too conjugal. Would you like me to call a meeting?
Voldemort appeared to think and think hard, and a light bulb appeared to go on in his head.
What?
I'm just imagining like just a cartoon Voldemort. Do 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 do.
You just see like Voldemort's head start glowing. He is the light bulb.
Wormtail could not help but wonder what his master was thinking. Yes, actually, send them owls and tell them to apparate to this address at once.
Well, that's going to take a while.
Owls are almost as bad as snail mail, Voldemort. Those snails, man, take their damn time.
I was going to say, I think that you just... I'm pretty sure if you just, like taped a letter to a snail, it would probably take a while.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely out of character. I'll say, like, part of the whole thing with fanfiction is that it does allow one to put less effort into characterization or world building because you already have stuff to go off of.
Mm-hmm.
But as a general, like, just writing tip, it's kind of the whole thing with, like, how stories are supposed to progress. With the story, you want to have it to where you start off with the character in their normal life, then the event that changes things.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, if you were doing like a romance story, you'd start out... Why did I fucking put an accent on the word romance?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing a romance story, you'd want to have it to where you start out with like your main lead, like in like their life before they actually like meet the person that they're going to hook up with, or whatever thing that happens that causes them to actually start the relationship. A common trope, if it's a male protagonist, for instance, is that their girlfriend or wife cheats on them, despite the fact that statistically men are more likely to cheat. We're not going to get into that. But yeah, so you want to have it to where you have an idea of what the character is like before their life begins to change as a result of the story. Now, of course, this doesn't tend to carry over as much in fan fiction because, like I said, fan fiction, you can kind of just go off the whole thing of, oh, well, the people reading would likely know what the characterization for this character is anyway because of the fact that it's a well-established character.
Mm-hmm.
Similar as if you have it to where it's just set in, like, that world, you don't have to put as much effort into the actual world building itself.
Yeah, take it from one who knows. World building's a lot of work.
Don't even get me started on the all Mr. True thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, Unveiled is going to be quite the fucking thing. I can't guarantee it'll be good, but it's going to be something.
Well, the whole thing with that, as soon as you start it, finish it no matter what, even if it's terrible.
Oh, that's going to take a while. There's a lot of stories. But instead of testing this strange attitude, Wormtail decided to hurry out to do as he was told. At least he'd made it out without a Cruciatus curse thrown at him.
Meanwhile, Harry woke up in his bed in the hospital wing. He felt a hole in his heart bigger than anything. His godfather was dead. How was he going to get over this? He felt like crying again, but just before the tears began to fall, he was hit with an odd sensation. His arms seemed to be working overtime. His stomach was tossing and turning. His head felt light, but the thing that made it odd was the fact that he felt happy about it. What the heck? All feelings of grief disappeared. Oh.
Okay, that's not actually a bad idea.
No, that's not. It's like, okay, yeah, he's feeling this from Voldemort, but at the same time, it's like...
It's fucking terrifying, given the context, but... That's not actually a bad idea for a thing. After all, Harry had been shown to have, like, dreams in which he would see what Voldemort was doing. Which you really gotta wonder, because also in the books it was stated that Voldemort never found out whenever one of his Horcruxes would be destroyed until he'd actually went to check on it. And then in the fucking movies you have it, Horcrux gets destroyed, all of a sudden Voldemort's screaming in pain.
Yeah.
Which, you know, you think that would have caused him to be a bit like, wait, what the fuck when he killed Harry? But, you know. Why does everything hurt? Why does everything hurt? Like, that's kind of the whole thing of, like, in the books, that wasn't the case. So it made sense when he, one, didn't know that his Horcruxes were being destroyed, and two, didn't realize Harry was a Horcrux when he killed him.
Yeah. Spoilers if you haven't read Harry Potter, which you should.
Spoilers if you haven't read the series. I would suggest that you, given what's going on right now, check out the books from the library instead of actually buying them yourselves, but that's mostly because...
Or order them online.
Well, no, No, I was meaning, given the shit that fucking JK's been doing, I would not suggest doing things that are giving her money.
True enough.
Someone goes on a fucking transphobic rampage. And, like, out of, like, just about everyone who's done this sort of thing, she kind of, more than anyone, is the face of the franchise. Like, she has a lot more of a, like, stock in it, so she would be getting a lot more money from, like, book sales and shit than, like, most other. Besides the point. Point is, you know, I'd suggest checking them out from libraries if you are going to read them right now instead of buying them directly. But yeah, this isn't a terrible idea for a thing. It's just that I'm not sure that anything's actually going to be done with it.
It's probably not, and I'm going to throw out a guess right now. That's the last time that's going to ever be mentioned in this fan fiction story, unless they talk about Harry being like, wait, why do I feel happy all the time type thing.
Why am I aroused?
Oh, jeez.
The meeting began with all the Death Eaters very confused. They had never been given an address to apparate to. The Hogwarts Potions Master, a spy for Dumbledore, was especially surprised. What was going on? What was their master thinking? What was running through his head? A hamster, mostly. It's kind of what powers his brain.
Oh, his too. Huh. Cool. My followers, I'm sure many of you are confused. Many are probably scared of punishment for last night's little fiasco, but this meeting is not to punish anyone. Last night...
There's something uncomfortable about Voldemort using the word fiasco.
Last night was actually fairly successful. The XR Sirius Black is dead, and Harry Potter is probably nothing more than a weeping pile of goo right now. This doesn't sound like
Also
Voldemort
that.
at all.
Mm.
I count that as a job well done. No, we didn't get the prophecy, but that is all well and good. After all, it was made by that old bat Trelawney, correct, Severus? At the man's confused nod, Voldemort continued. And it wasn't your fault anyway, Bella. That clumsy boy of Dumbledore dropped it.
Dumbledore has a child?
Maybe?
Again, being in character isn't important, but at the same time, this is supposed to be the same Voldemort. Him acting out of character is one thing. Him not talking, like, using the same vernacular that you would, is a bit disconcerting. Like,
well, easier said than done, but at the same time, just gotta pay a little
yeah,
more.
it is one of those things of, like, when it comes to writing, you do kind of, each character does technically have a voice of their own.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit that sometimes I do have trouble actually figuring it out. Just look at that whole thing of me trying to figure out how the fuck a character who died sometime in the 30s is supposed to talk. But
that's one of those things, though. It's like, that's why I'd rather create my own characters in different universes, because taking the author's original characters, I wouldn't be able to do them justice because I don't know what's gone on in the author's head, how they're wanting to characterize them and stuff like that. This is just me personally. Some people out there might be confident in their abilities to do that. With me, it's like, nah, I couldn't do that. I could not do that at all.
Several of the inner circle began to discreetly back away. Something was wrong here. Something was very, very wrong. And they wanted to be far away when the shit hit the fan.
I like that statement's in this story. It doesn't fit, but it's funny.
What was the fuck? I think it was like when Harry Potter was fucking swearing in the Harry Potter, like either the Harry Potter and the Girl Who Lived. Was that the one that was like really weird and didn't feel right?
I don't remember.
There was one of them where it was like this person swearing. No, it was fucking Jenna's. It was Jenna's stuff. The Legend of Zelda stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever she had like characters in Legend of Zelda swearing.
Yeah, that
was the one that felt so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Mana.
Well, that is what I really wanted to say. You are all dismissed. Oh, except you, Lucius. Do stick around.
How do I get a girl to like me?
Oh, jeez.
You're married. You should know. As directed, the blonde stayed when everyone else apparated away. He had to admit, he was more than just a little wary. Not only was the failure the night before mostly his fault, even though he said that there was no need for punishment, but the Dark Lord was acting strange. He remained silent and waited for his master's orders.
Well, this will be interesting. Voldemort grinned, already.
I am uncomfortable.
Lucius, you're the best at finding out personal information about a person, is that right? For lack of anything to say, Lucius simply nodded. There is a young woman in the village. I wish you to find out everything you can about her. She has long gold blonde hair, blue eyes, has a sort of Audrey Hepburn face. Okay. Why the hell would Voldemort reference Audrey Hepburn?
Why would he know who Audrey Hepburn is? That is... What? I'm not even sure I remember who Audrey Hepburn is. I'm gonna fucking do a Google search. Oh! That's who she is. She's that one actress.
She's that one actress who did the things.
I'm gonna put a fucking picture on her. In her! Whoa, no, that's not what I was trying to say.
Freudian slip.
was going to say that would not be a Freudian slip, partly because this woman is very much long dead.
That's
Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't she? What movie was that she was? She was in freaking. Oh, there it is. Breakfast at Tiffany's. That's what.
Yeah, she was in Breakfast at Tiffany's, in which we had Mickey Rooney in Yellowface. Yeah, the Asian character.
I've never seen Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Okay, yeah. It's very obviously not an Asian. It's Mickey Rooney wearing buck teeth and squinty-eyed glasses.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. But yeah, because she was also, recently they did a CGI recreation of her for a fucking commercial.
Okay.
Not surprisingly, that upset people.
Yeah, no. Makes sense.
Anyway.
Goodness.
I'm gonna click off this because, fuck, that is a lot of pictures, and I would be scrolling for a while because, well, she is aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like a sunset. Or other things of that sort. Anyway. What sort of information are you looking for? Strategic information in Severus's field.
Yes, Severus is best at that and would have been my choice if I was looking for that. What I'm looking for is specifics. Her name, how old she is, when's her birthday, what things does she do, what doesn't she like, her family life, that sort of thing.
I'm uncomfortable.
Voldemort, if you're going to stalk someone, at least have the decency to do it yourself.
Or do it online.
That too.
Find her Facebook page.
The Wizard Facebook spell book.
If she happens to post pictures of Joker and Harley Quinn together, run. If Lucius had not had his mask on, one would have seen his eyes go wide. Why would Voldemort want that information? It would no good if he planned on abducting and torturing her.
That was a line.
One word. One fucking word. But who was he to question the Dark Lord? Yes, Master. I'll go at once.
Author's note. End of chapter 1. Not a whole lot going on yet, but there will be much going on in later chapters. Get ready for a new Voldemort, even more so than this chapter suggests. Cupid's arrow found the bullseye.
Jesus Christ, I just realized that they're describing a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Audrey Hepburn, and that makes me very uncomfortable. That feels like something that should not exist.
Give me a little bit with Photoshop, and I can make that reality.
Don't. She looks great as is. That would just. Yeah.
I don't have Photoshop. Don't worry. I want to commission someone to do that just to mess with you, though.
What has this author got against brunettes? Or is it just that the author herself is blonde? Or themselves? I don't fucking know. If it is a self-insert, then I guess her.
Well, her avatar is not blonde, so...
Yeah, no. Wait. I guess part of it is I just kind of feel that, like, blondes are kind of overrepresented.
Blonde hair is pretty hair.
Nah. Honestly, it all depends on how you take care of it. Like, all hair colors are honestly great.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, coming soon, Voldemort finds out more about the woman and comes up with a plan to win her heart.
Oh,
so someone's going to take that whole thing of me saying all hair colors are great and being like, oh, he's just trying to make it sound like he doesn't have preferences. Like, I really don't care. It's a person-to-person basis. If it looks good on the person, it looks good.
Author's note. Thought I should mention that my interpretation of Little Hangleton is much like Any creepy town found in fairy tales. There will be very few mentions of modern Muggle conveniences. What, so no coffee makers? That's unfortunate.
It's the 90s!
The 1690s.
Gonna party like it's 1699.
Don't you know, Llytic? Everyone in Europe lives in a fairy tale town. They don't have modern conveniences. They have magic. Modern conveniences are an American thing.
Just because a lot of the buildings in the UK don't have air conditioning doesn't mean they don't have modern conveniences.
I'm being facetious, Llytic.
Chapter 2. Lucius took on the look of a Muggle reporter.
Okay.
His hair pulled back in a sleek, handsome ponytail. He had decided that seeing as how he knew nothing of anyone in this town, the best way would be to just try and find the girl and talk to her direct. Why a reporter?
Because they can get away with anything.
Why not, like, I don't know, a fucking barista? Shop employee?
Be a tourist.
Something. You know, someone where your job is kind of like where you kind of have to pretend to care about people.
Well, you don't have to do that in any job. It's just highly encouraged.
You know, something where, like, you know, might be a chance of them talking to you because they think, oh, I'm probably never going to see them again. Because, you know, that's kind of a thing.
It depends on the place. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Walking into the now more awake village, Lucius kept his eyes open for the girl matching the description his master had given him.
As he reached the village square, he saw a group of young ladies talking. Each carried a basket of items, presumably from the market. He smiled when he saw the Dark Lord's target. She was walking in the middle of the threesome, giggling at some joke they'd shared.
Oh, Lucy, you simply must, one urged, a woman with short chocolate hair. Tasty?
No, I'm just thinking of it like short, dark hair. That's a good look depending on the person.
I was gonna say that might be kind. No, wait. This picture of Audrey Hepburn, her hair's pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
You simply must do it.
But I can't. My grandmother needs me here with here. I can't afford to go away to London, replied the center one.
Take her with you, argued the third, a fiery redhead. You can't just describe them as fiery without giving some characterization. Unless the take her with you was meant to be that. Take her with you, argued the third, a fiery redhead. They have doctors there. This is too good an opportunity. You could be the first in our town to go to the big city and make a success of yourself.
That was awkwardly phrased.
Little bit. I would have gone with first in our town to go to the big city and make it big.
Lucy replied again. We can't afford that. We can't afford the doctors in London. You know that, Martha.
Martha, Martha, Martha.
It's Marcia, but I
Marcia,
get
what a fucking hell.
We can barely afford the opinion of our own, and the trip itself could kill her. She's all I have left.
Lucius decided it was time to swoop in.
Oh, okay.
What's this about a dead mother I hear? A dying mother I hear? He came up to her. What?
Why, grandmother. What labored breathing you have.
Oh boy.
You said dying grandmother. That was the first thing that came to my mind. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, miss. May I have a few words? Why was that the voice I went with for Lucius now?
He's in disguise, Llytic. It's okay.
Ah, so he's going to be talking like this now. That is a terrible English accent in general.
The blonde jumped as he approached her. Who are you?
I'm a reporter from the London Times. I travel from town to town looking for the most interesting person to interview. And I hear you have a dying mother. Grandmother. Apologies. Malfoy lied.
The other two giggled. They apparently had found something about him humorous. Muggles, he thought exasperatedly. The
What?
one they had called Lucy seemed thoughtful.
Well, I don't know. I need to get home soon.
Oh, it won't take long at all. Do allow me this chance, dear child. He offered his arm kindly.
And I am immediately uncomfortable. Bad touch. Martha pushed her. Go for it, Lucy.
That seemed to be all the encouragement, and the young blonde went. That seemed to be all the encouragement.
That was all of the encouragement. That was basically the philosophical ideal of encouragement. It was just all encouragement in one.
And the young blonde went with Lucius, but only after she got a promise that it would take no longer than 10 minutes. Her grandmother needed her.
Not long after that, Lucius returned to Riddle Manor, gratefully removing his disguise of a ponytail holder. Voldemort heard him and confronted him.
Okay, her name is Lucinda Duthride, known as Lucy to her friends and family. Speaking of which, her family consists of her one elderly, frail, sickly grandmother. She enjoys music and art and was even offered a chance to sing at the Queen's Gala in London this summer.
I think it's Gala.
Gala, whatever. He went on almost without a breath, but she refused to stay with her grandmother. She also likes watching the moon rise in the late evening and taking long walks by the stream in the forest. Oh, and she's 21, Lucius finally concluded. At least she's legal. Master, may I inquire as to where this is going? What plan do you have for this girl? You know, my whole thing was, it's like, okay, if they make this girl a teenager, I'm going to freak out because there have been way too many things. It's like, oh, we're going to have a teenager.
I still feel like 21 is a bit young for someone who's in their 70s.
She's way too young, but it's...
I'm pretty sure that violates the half your age plus 7 rule.
Mm-hmm.
These rules exist for a reason.
Yeah.
To prevent unhealthy power dynamics, mostly. New plan, Lucius. Well, not one that you're thinking of. The cold-hearted man smiled. So she was 21, much younger than he. Yeah, by about 50 years.
Oh boy, this next line.
But he could change that. I need to speak with Severus now, Lucius. Send for him, will you? The flu is already connected to his fires. Do be quick about it. What? So just stick your head in the fucking fireplace, then.
10 minutes later, Severus Snape, the potions master of Hogwarts, was before him. Snape kneeled before the Dark Lord. Lucius had not said what this about, simply said that Master was acting strangely. You summoned me, my lord.
Wait, isn't that just straight up the character from Danganronpa?
Maybe.
Oh, that's right. Ichitan was telling me about this. It's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it was like, one of the things she mentioned was that the guys wear skirts. Granted, right now I've just been mostly on a fucking Otome isekai kick, because weirdly enough, those ones are actually not bad. Mostly because it's not a power fantasy. I don't know if you've ever, looked at any of those, Tom.
If the word isekai is in it, I have no interest.
Basically, the whole thing is, most of the time what happens is that the person ends up getting stuck in the role of, the villainess of the story that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a whole thing of, oh, this could go horrifically wrong, because I played this game, most of the routes end in my death. And so it's a whole thing of them trying to keep themselves from being killed as a result of the quote-unquote main character of the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the best ones that I've been reading is a Korean one by the name of Beware the Villainess. in which basically it's not like an Itome one, but it's specifically a book. And there is a moment in which the main character calls out the author of the book she got like magically transported into.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a whole thing of like, one of the characters, it was like, they stated that they were supposed to be very smart. And she's just like, actually looking back on when I read it, he never really solved any problems by using his intelligence, but mostly just luck and plot armor. So really it seems that he was only about as smart as the author could write him. The whole thing of like confronting him like personally, and it's like, this is not a clever man.
Cool.
I do suggest checking it out. It is actually kind of an interesting series. And it's one of the few Korean webcomics that doesn't make me very uncomfortable.
Is
Like,
it my line?
I believe it's... you said yours. Mine now.
Oh, okay.
No, wait. Did you say the 10 minutes later thing?
Yes, I believe I finished with you summoned me,
Yeah.
Lord.
Voldemort eyed the potions master. Yes, Severus, I need you to brew a potion for me. One that will be permanent and will de-age me to 24.
Yes, because potions can do that.
I mean, probably could, but there's still the issues of the ramifications of ripping your soul to pieces.
He's already done that, so...
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason he looks the way he does, and it was kind of stated that the reason why he had the soul transformation is that it was the effect of ripping his soul to pieces. So would de-aging him really fix his face?
Maybe. We'll see. Snape could not hide his surprise. May I ask why, my lord?
The smile on the man's face sends chills down Snape's spine. Now I'm just fucking having flashbacks to Kawaii. That's a pretty goddamn good, like, either shoujo or josei series. I also suggest checking that one out. You may ask if this works. Do you think you could have it ready in an hour?
That was again an odd request. Yes, request, not order, but a request. A part of him wanted to ask who it was who was impersonating the Dark Lord and where they'd put him. But yes, he answered, he could have it ready in an hour. What was Voldemort up to? Should he warn Dumbledore?
Oh, I'm just imagining, like, well, we weren't exactly sure if it was actually you as someone who had taken your place, but at the same time, we're so terrified of you that we never really thought to question them.
Yeah.
Author's note, finally done with another chapter. The de-aging potion, several reasons. He's already robbing the cradle. I hate that statement.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to flaunt it, and not to mention his face scares babies. We're not going to Phantom of the Opera this. Phantom of the Opera, after all.
His face scares babies.
Not technically wrong.
No, that's funny.
Fucking hell. So we're on chapter 4.
Yeah. Chapter 4, but it's titled Chapter 3 because the first one was the prologue. And I'm gonna read now. Chapter 3. Severus, as promised, delivered the potion to the Dark Lord. A feeling of pride filled his being. He remembered why he had ever joined the Dark Lord in the first place. He had been promised a place to practice his potion making. Potions was his life, and he had fallen for the lie. But now something was different about the Dark Lord. He could almost feel a light shining through the soul of the wicked man. Could he dare to hope? Was a change coming?
Voldemort grinned his thanks. And this time it did not frighten the man. Very good, Severus. I knew I could count on you. He put the vial to his lips and swallowed the foul stuff. Blech! But maybe next time you should consider flavorings. The change was instant. The snake-like form melted into a young man of 25. I thought he was going for 24.
Mm.
Black hair, blue eyes, perfectly pressed robes.
It worked on his robes, too.
What? He was a young man again. Voldemort moved to the mirror and examined his appearance. Perfect, Severus. You've outdone yourself this time. You will be rewarded for your success in due time.
Your kind words are reward enough, my lord, Severus replied, once more kneeling.
You're dismissed, Severus. I have things to do.
Snape did his ass and returned to Hogwarts. The headmaster was the first to confront him.
Severus, what did Voldemort want? Dumbledore asked, always to the point, as he understood Snape despised pity for what he had to do.
The potions professor shook his head, more in confusion than anything. He wanted a de-aging potion.
The headmaster's eyes widened, but never did the spark in them die. A de-aging potion? Did he say why?
Okay, just gonna say right now, just the headmaster's eyes widened, but never did the spark in them die. I like that line. I like it a lot.
I'm not sure what the fuck it's supposed to mean, but
it sounds
you'd
cool.
expect the spark to go out if they were to, narrow or dim.
Mm-hmm.
Not if he was confused, but more if he was crestfallen.
Mm-hmm. Again, still sounds cool. Again, a shake of the head. No, but he actually thanked me, and I have reason to believe he was sincere, promising reward. Said I had outdone myself, but did suggest I consider flavoring the potions. It was so strange, I just described what you all just read. He was, do I dare say it, he was smiling, for once. There wasn't an ounce of evil plot behind his eyes. Snape pondered to his employer, his protector. He watched as Dumbledore took on a thoughtful look. He too knew that Dumbledore was wondering what was going on.
The evil plot has been replaced with bad plot. Poorly written plot. Voldemort strolled through the village once more that morning. He himself had found a few strange things happening. He couldn't stop fiddling with his hair, looking into almost every reflective surface he could find. He kept thinking of things to say, something to catch her attention, and he was nervous. And if he was what if he was rejected? What if she would want nothing to do with him?
And then there she was, at a small stand making purchases. She was speaking to the stall keeper. He tried to listen, but couldn't hear.
Okay, this is it. I just walk up to her and I say, He was stuck. Just to the background.
Voldemort.exe has stopped working.
He tried to propel. He didn't know what to say. He tried to propel himself forward, but for some odd reason, his feet wouldn't obey. What was he thinking? He'd never be good enough for someone as lovely as her. But he wasn't a coward. He couldn't back down. He had to go talk to her. But how? What could he say? What should he do? He'd never done this before. So how was he supposed to know? Finally, making the decision to just wing it. I phrased that weird. He turned around to compose himself. After making double sure that he looked all right, he turned back only to knock into her grandmother.
She died. She fell to the ground, just her neck broken.
She fell to the ground and it just fucking shattered her hips, and that caused a heart attack that killed her.
No, I feel bad.
Her purchases fell to the ground as the collided. His eyes went wide with embarrassment. Oh my!
The blonde woman fell to her knees to try and salvage her groceries. I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't see you, she began rambling.
Voldemort found that he could only do the logical thing. Normally, he would have killed her.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it had been his fault, but he didn't want to. Oh, no, it's my fault. Here, let me help you. He insisted as he dropped down beside her and helped her gather her groceries, discreetly using magic to repair any damage done. He'd reached over to pick up an orange that had rolled to one side. Unfortunately, it was a bomb. Turns out she was actually Oingo in disguise. Is that the right twin? Is it him or Boingo that can change the shape of their face?
I don't remember.
I just remember that for some reason in the English version, like the localization changed it to Zenyatta and Montana. No. It's Oingo and Boingo.
Well, it's funny in the subtitles for the Japanese for Golden Wind. One of the stands' name is Sticky Fingers, but the subtitles say Zipper Man.
Yeah. Well, because like the whole thing in fucking with Oingo and Boingo is you can hear them say Oingo Boingo.
Mm-hmm.
You could hear the fucking Japanese voice actors say Oingo and Boingo.
Same with Sticky Fingers.
And it's
Sticky Fingers.
Or fucking Red Hot Chili Pepper. Chili, it's just like subtitles. Chili Pepper. Red Hot Chili Pepper. It's like, no. Okay. Nah. Or fucking Crazy Diamond. Shining Diamond. No. Why are you like this? Is it just copyright reasons?
Probably.
Oh, gods. In doing so, and not seeing what was happening, their hands touched just as his palm touched the fruit. They looked at each other. Tom blushed a deep red as he looked into her cool blue eyes. Stop blushing, Tom.
I'm not blushing.
It says you are.
Well, I'm not.
Are you saying the author's a liar?
Yes. All authors are liars. They just call it storytellers.
The story said he was smart, but he hasn't done a single smart thing yet. Wait. I fucking love that point to the fucking story, because it is one of those just, oh shit. I've never seen a character call out the author of the story they're in before. Outside of like Deadpool and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like, well. He felt something inside him start to crack. It was his ribs. Turns out that she was much sturdier than he thought.
Hello,
She's
my name
a brick.
is Lucinda...
Wow. Ouse.
Hello, my name is Lucinda Duthridge. I was created to destroy the Dark Lord.
Just fucking shoulder checks his ribs to pieces.
Just like God of War music starts playing, and then she just starts beating the shit out of him.
I apologize to anyone listening due to the fact that I've just been on a fucking JoJo kick recently. He wanted to stay lost in those eyes that seemed to melt him from the inside out. This must be the power of an enemy stand.
She's a Kryptonian.
I don't know, it's just a stand that has the ability to melt flesh.
Okay. No. Melt organs, because he's melting from the inside out.
Yeah, it's like one of those like possessing stands that just slips into someone. It's like the fucking water one, but it's acid.
Nobody dodges the emerald splash.
I wasn't meaning that one, I was meaning the...
I know, but like, just imagine if emerald
just slips into someone's body and starts dissolving them.
Like, just into their throat. That would be a much more effective way to use that, honestly, but...
He hasn't done it since!
Thanks, the girl began. Oh, by the way, my name is Lucinda Duthridge.
And then he went out for donuts.
Donuts are good.
Anyone who knows what I was just talking about is just going to be like, you motherfucker. He stepped out of his trance. He paused. He couldn't tell her his chosen name. She'd never understand. My name is Voldemort. It's French. My family is French. It is French. Or at least the Mort part, because that was originally pronounced More. But then the movies came out, and for some reason they pronounced it Mort. Probably because Americans. She never understand and probably laugh at him. After all, Voldemort was not a normal name, especially not to the Muggles. I'm Tom Riddle. It's a pleasure to meet you, m'lady.
Oh, no.
I'm going to vomit profusely. He remembered his etiquette and took her hand to place a kiss upon it.
Now apparently it was her turn to blush. The pleasure is all mine, Tom. Sir. I'm just imagining
Doing
again.
anything for you, Tom?
No, it's not. But I'm just imagining in this one, it's like Lucinda Duthridge is someone who has been engineered to kill the Dark Lord or any Dark Lord. And so it's like she's faking.
I don't know. I find the idea of just a blonde Audrey Hepburn being a stand user hilarious.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Are you gonna do the Aura thing now? Yes, yes. Oh my god. Author's note, finally. I know it's been a while. But it's been a while for all of them. I promise, I'm trying, I've just been super busy. Well, R&R, please. Rest and relax? I kinda need that. Reading a review, I know. I do like reading what you folks have to say. Again, the main thing has just been subpar characterization. We know nothing about Lucinda, except that she's a blonde Audrey Hepburn, and that her grandma's dying.
We learned a little bit about from from Lucius's
yeah, but that was
gathering, but
that wasn't characterization, and that was just told to us. An important thing in stories is show don't tell. It's kind of like the whole thing in which like they just mentioned that Voldemort would sometimes just cast the Cruciatus curse on Peter. Like that was like the one hint of characterization before he met Lucinda, and it wasn't much, and it was just told to us, not shown. Like, again, like I don't like being mean with this sort of stuff, so which is why like I do try to actually provide proper criticism and pointers for how stuff could be improved. And so it's just anyway.
The whole thing with this, there are worse written stories than it. The prose.
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of cleaning up with the grammar that needs to happen. The prose itself is not terrible. Again, the voice of the characters needs to be changed a little bit, but
it's bare bones. There's not much that we're given.
Yeah. Snape did kind of feel like Snape, but that was the closest thing for like characterization that everyone else
and then again, that was just more that he was kind of falling in line with his actual character, which again isn't the most important thing here. The most important thing is the actual characterization that the author themselves is putting forward. But anyway, special thank you to Summer Moon Soldier and Destiny Bear for supporting us on Patreon. This was a Patreon. This is technically a Patreon request from Summer Moon Soldier. So if you'd like to request something for us to read, then consider going down to the link in the description, going to our Patreon. You can send us any amount of money, any amount that really supports us. But we do have a couple tiers technically that would allow you to make requests.
Yeah. So
That's it.
Send us requests. We'll read things if you throw money at us.